What's up, Polo community? Welcome to Shuffle.
Yo.
We are here.
I am Paul. With me is Kaleb and Willis.
Hello.
We also have a special guest today from outside of Ohio.
Another one. Look, we do stuff. That's not
We
just
know people.
We have friends that don't live in Columbus.
We're a Polo cast without borders now.
Oh.
Go ahead and
Shit.
introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm
Miss-
Nick. I live in Indianapolis. How's it going?
Mystery man.
That's right, folks. It's Mr. Nacrelli out of Indy. The head goon himself.
That's exciting.
Only when necessary.
Oh, the goon. Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of gooning, let's get right to an email we received between the last episode and now.
Nice segue, Paul. Good job.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it just
God.
naturally happened.
Someday you're gonna be on the real radio.
He has a face for it.
Anyway, this person is actually also an indie. This is from Jose, we believe. It says, "Hey guys, good to see that you're up and running again. It was fun playing with you all at Equinox. I enjoy Columbus Bike Polo almost as much as your liquor store taco truck."
Oh, the Colombian taco truck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone loves the taco
That was our
truck.
first stop.
That
Yeah.
that place is great.
It's fucking awesome.
Was that your first time there, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
Jose goes on to say that, back to the question at hand, what are your thoughts about gooning in polo? I've developed a bit of a goon rep this year. I don't go out to hurt anyone, and I always try to play a fair game. I mainly use it to create space or to free the ball from undeserving opponents. What are your mindsets when you're about to start a match with known goons? Fan of the show, the old dude in Indy.
Thanks, Jose.
So it's kind of funny because when I think about Jose, I think of a couple different things, and one of them is that he goons himself off the court. Like I don't know, Nick, were you there at NA's when all that crazy shit happened with the
Oh,
chicken?
when he wrecked and he cut his leg open?
Yeah, I don't.
No, that was no. I was not there for that. That was Friday night.
Yeah.
I believe they hit at least 4 or 5 breweries that day. They were partying.
It was. Have you not heard this story?
No.
I have not.
He like wrecked and was bleeding all over the place, and there were chicken bones everywhere, and the police were
Chicken
there.
bones.
It was
He
like this whole thing.
shirtless and chicken
So-
bones.
So
and
that's when
total
I
heathen.
when I think of Jose, because I know that like like sliced himself open at a bunch of tournaments. Like
yeah,
he's an
hurt
off court bleeder.
He's been a hurt guy this year. He broke his foot. He fell on. He hit one of the guys that plays occasionally has Jose's old bike, and it has a like a stripped axle nut on the rear because it's like a quick release, so the cone is off of it.
Ooh.
So it's like a like a 1/4 inch thread, and he fell on it and ripped his leg open.
Mm.
He's had stitches a couple times, but yeah, he went down and then went back and got stitches the next day, and he progressed onward for the weekend. So
Yeah,
he's
I
a
was-
tough guy.
yeah. I was joking with him at when we were at Equinox that he didn't slice himself open.
Yeah,
but-
he had a good weekend.
As far as the like gooning stuff goes, like I don't know, when I'm on the court, like if I'm setting up and I know it's gonna be a game, like if I'm playing against Cleveland, like
See-
if I see the
Yeah.
bobbles and stuff on the other
Well,
court, or even if I see you on the other side of the court.
Well, it's like with Jose. I don't think Jose's a goon at all. I think Jose goes hard.
Yeah.
And he will challenge you to the boards, which sometimes means if you're playing against him, you might have to dip your shoulder in and play back.
Yeah,
Same thing with Cleveland. It's not like total onslaught, just kill them all type of goonage, but it's part of it. And we all know who plays that way. We all know the games you might need to do it or you might not.
yeah, that's
So, especially in this region.
When I think of gooning, I think of like, when I hear goon, I come from sort of a hockey mentality. Where I hear goon, I hear dirty play, hits from behind, pulling wheels out from underneath players.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we started.
Because I've played against Cleveland. I actually got to play against Nick and Jose at Equinox,
Yeah, two-thirds
and
beat us that tournament.
yeah, and
they were hot that tournament.
we got a hot hand. Well,
That's 3
we had a
goals
hot goalie.
Too, on that game, and we got beat. It sucked. But good game for you guys. And Kaleb, you got to keep playing with Jay Brown.
Yeah, I mean, that was fun. I liked playing with him. That was a good tournament, but I don't
But yeah,
know.
with goonage, I don't know. I think when you talk about goons and the sense of bike polo, which I wasn't really, I'm gonna be real honest, I wasn't there for like as it's been described to me, like the golden age of gooning, where it was just like these tournaments where you've seen videos where it's
Right.
a little out of control. Luckily, it's not like that anymore. I don't think really, and that's a good thing. I think
Yeah.
the game is better. It's just not as. It doesn't have to be as crazy. I mean, I'm a big guy, so I don't think it's fair for me like to go and just clean some dude's clock or some lady's clock that's like half my size. That's pretty shitty. So I think it's better that way without it. But some contact's good. You got to do it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, when I hear gooning, I just think not necessarily anything dirty or heavily contact going, but I think of like bigger guys that are going to have some contact, all legal mostly, you know, unless it's an accidental thing, but it's just something that I see goons as like big guys that I know are going to put some weight on you, and you just got to be prepared for it. Not necessarily dirty play.
Yeah, we were talking about it right before we started recording, and I had said that I was pretty much on the same lines as Paul, where it was like if I'm lining up and I know it's going to be a game like that, I'm expecting to like have some contact or like something, but it's the kind of contact where I'm going to look at the referee and like not expect a call, but be like, yeah, no, we hit each other pretty hard, or like we bumped into each other or whatever. So I think, and Willis actually made a good point, and he was like, what exactly is the definition of like gooning or being a goon in polo? And I think that's an interesting question because it's like not, you know, everyone kind of is just like, oh, you're out there being a goon. And
there's going to be some prick that might take a cheap shot every now and again. I mean, it's part of it, but I think by and large, it's sort of taking care of itself.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we have a problem with it. I don't think it's like a problem that we're like, oh, we need to crack down on those goon characters. You know, it's like I don't think it's a problem. I think it's, you know, I think it's all good.
When I hear somebody now, when they talk about goons, I think of big dudes.
Yeah, like usually I'm thinking of like
all the time. God damn it!
What?
We're not always the ones that goon. Everybody.
No, but you're the ones that always like.
There's also a physics problem with bike polo. We might as well get into that aspect of it. So, like, you can come flying up and like, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm better than I am because I'm not that great at polo, but you can come up and fly into me a little bit, and if you don't hit me the right way, you will probably not succeed.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that gets misconstrued where it looks like I killed someone. Well, that's not really the case. Like at NA's, one of my favorite ladies out of Toronto, Kirsten. I think my leg caught her bar because she was playing me kind of tight, and she didn't do anything wrong, but my leg caught her, and I flipped her off her bike, and it probably, if you were just not paying attention, it looked like I cleaned her clock when we never touched, other than the bar hit my leg. So
yeah.
That's part of it too, where somebody who's a little bigger might catch a bit of a rep for being a goon, but it's I don't think most people, at least around here, really do it. I mean, you know, like you said, you guys know who you're playing most of the time, and if you don't know the person and they're out of region, and they fit the stereotype, then true. I don't know.
That's yeah.
Well, it's definitely more of a concern if they're a little bit larger, only because if there's a tiny goon out there, chances are you might not get gooned that hard.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I will contend that I've thrown very few checks in my polo, I'll say, career, which is not the truth, but since I've played polo, very, very few where I've actually, and none that I could think of where I came in and like hot and just lit somebody up. It happens. I try to not do that and be that guy just because no one's getting paid and I don't really care to hurt anybody too much. I mean, some guys or some people might need, smacked around a little bit here and there, but not like, flying across the court and just killing somebody. But I've been in a game or two like that, and it's I don't know. It's not that fun. If anybody was at Northside's, which would have been like the last one that was in Grand Rapids, there was a game that got crazy out of hand, and it was a game that didn't matter. I don't really want to get into it because then it comes off like I'm talking shit to somebody, but it was a little rough, to put it mildly. And that's not really much. I don't really worry about that too much anymore.
Yeah, there have been like a couple times that I've been playing against some people that are like, because I'm not a huge dude. Like
You're not small though either.
But usually whenever I see somebody that I think is like that fits into that goon category or whatever, usually when that happens, I will, there have been a couple times I've tried to body up on somebody that's probably like Matt Bobble size. Yeah, and every time it happens, I'm like, all right, he's got the ball. He's in a really good position. I'm going to go shoulder to shoulder with him right now. And it's clean and, all this stuff. Yeah. But I always hit him, and I just, like, it shows. Fall. Yeah, it's just like, bink, and I, like, fall over. And I'm like, oh,
those guys are
that didn't work.
And he's still going.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So,
yeah. And Matt's gotten really good on his bike this year, too.
Yeah. So all those, like, that Cleveland, big dude style, it works for them.
They know how to do it.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think that was a good email.
Yeah, good conversation.
Yeah.
Hey Jose, left hand. Don't know.
Cheers to that.
We're working on the video, the live video feed with it, but
Buffaloes.
He's holding up a beverage in a glass.
Beverage action. Yeah. So.
Hey Nick, what are your Coats chances this week? I said Coats.
Thank you for acknowledging the Indiana speak.
You're welcome.
Against Atlanta, to me, Atlanta's never a very consistent franchise. So, rolling off of a big win, I mean, I'll put us at a 50-50 chance, if not maybe better. I mean, it's hard to tell, man. It's the NFL. A lot of times momentum helps. It's really bad until this week.
Are you in the bike polo fantasy football league?
Yeah,
you are in. Okay.
Trade and you were non-existent.
Oh, I saw that. Sorry about that.
What sport do we play? What is this? The football?
No,
podcast?
there is right now.
What the fuck is going on?
I know, but right now there's a bike polo fantasy.
I've heard legend
league.
Of this, but what? I play the stickball game. I don't play the hand tossball game.
That's fair.
There's
a lot of shit talking.
Yeah, there's a lot. My iPad is just like ding ding. It's usually Cruise gets it going.
Yeah, that's true.
But
all right, back to this.
Yeah,
back to whack-a-mole.
The whack-a-mole or whatever. All right, so we've already talked about. I mean, I feel like a lot of people know who you are. You did some good. I actually listened to some of your commentary today.
I have not.
There was some. I think there was some Mr. Do video that I was looking at.
No, he commented on this year's NAs. He was commenting. Yeah, he did
That's
a great
job.
job.
I was looking through and I was listening to some of that. So, if you have watched some of those games, you probably have heard. Nick, I saw you over there because when I was at NAs, you were doing a lot of the commentary. It was like every time I turned around, either you or Elias were over there under the tent, or both of you, hanging out, talking.
Yeah, we finished it out, and then I did a bunch with Jared, and then David Beck.
Yeah,
it was fun. I've never done it before.
Yeah, I walked by the tent, somebody handed me a mic, and I just like did a shout out for the podcast and handed it back, and they were like looked really confused. I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I don't know what this is.
I think we talked about your podcast once or twice.
Yeah, I was like, I don't. Thanks for that. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, it actually did.
But I don't know. It was weird. I was like, I don't know any of these people's
You
names.
do this though. You could have done that.
Yeah, I know, but like I'm the kind of guy that when I would get in there and do commentary, be like, yeah, I don't know anybody on that team's
So
name.
the dude with the red shirt is going after the other dude.
Red shirt, hard shot against the wall.
That is something I can do. I can, for some reason, remember stupid shit and people's names usually. So that was easy part.
Well, another thing is I think you had a good perspective on the rules from having had experience in reffing and understanding that whole perspective. That really probably helps.
I hope so. I mean, I think everybody should read the rules to the game that we play.
Yeah, that is kind of an interesting thing that I know I've yelled at people from our club for, where they'll like do some shit and I'm like, that was completely and totally illegal and there's no way that you're going to tell me it wasn't. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, did you read the rules? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like when the rule, and I understand, like it's like a hobby sport. People have said that, I get it, but if you're gonna go and you're gonna compete and you're gonna even pretend to take it seriously, you should at least thumb through the rule book.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're to jump on a football field, you're not going to go grab someone's face mask and rip their head off, or I'd hope you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And you would know that that is probably frowned upon.
Yeah, and it was, I don't know, but that's definitely one of the most frustrating things for me is that it's just like, come on, like the rules are there, they're totally accessible. It's not like they're written in like a language that needs a lot of
Translation.
Exactly. They're pretty straightforward, especially if you go to the penalty section, which is the section that, I would think matters probably more so than the rest of it. Like I get it, there's like the obstruction stuff and all of that. But like if you're going to look through it, it's like here's a list of things you don't do. Like the referee hand signs, you don't really need to read that. Like the duration of the game and how the court dimensions, that's not important. But if you're going to go through and at least read it, at least go through and look at penalties and know what you're not supposed to do. Because
and I also think a lot of that stems from the fact that the game is at a point where it's this intersection between the culture of bike polo and the the game maturing.
The legitimizing of bike polo.
I don't even know if I go that far.
All right.
But just at a certain point, the people that were in it for the long haul, which there are going to be some, and there's going to be some that aren't. They know what the rules are or what they're supposed to be, which is fantastic for like pickup or whatever. But then when you go to a qualifier or the NAH tournament, you're expected to play it more to the rule set. It's just one of those things. It'll work itself out. But I don't think you need to know the whole rule book forwards and backwards. But I also think that if you're in a game and you get called for something, you should listen first before immediately defending yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think
everybody's guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. Everybody's guilty of that. So it's part of it. But yeah, I think like I said, you shouldn't know the rule word for word, but you should have an idea that hey, you can't ride that screen that defender off. That's obstruction, or you can't sit in the crease, or you can't just kill somebody off ball contact, unless they're trying to block you off the ball or whatever. But I don't know the rules. I have a whole idea of a way to implement people knowing the rules going into a qualifier, but it would require way too much time.
What is it? I'm kind of curious now.
So, I used to be like a big disc golfer before I learned about bike polo, and to run a tournament, whether you're the head official or not, you have to, if your name is assigned to it, you have to pass a officials test. And there are different levels of tournaments. There are national tournaments, A tiers, B tiers, C tiers, and then I think there's another one behind that. But the A tiers and the national tournament events, you have to pass a ref test just to play, essentially. So that would do two things. And if you were required to take a ref test, and I'll say similar to the 2014 ref test, which we all had to pass to ref at qualifiers or NAs. Let's say everybody on your team, your 3-person team, has to pass that, which I think you should. So you would pass that, and then the benefit behind that is that you have a entire field of players who are for real refs.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, actually, and you said something earlier that
and if you're really trying to do it correctly, then there should be 2 refs on each court. You have trained goal judges, from top to bottom, and there should be no excuses.
Yeah. You said something earlier that I thought was that kind of reminded me of that, and it was that there are a lot of people like me. Actually, I'm one of these people that doesn't. I'm not. Okay, so you go to a tournament, and I don't referee. Usually when I go to tournaments, I'll goal judge all day. I usually don't referee, even though I've read the rules and I feel pretty proficient in the rule book. But, if I took the referee test, I would be 100% confident in myself to do that because I had somebody else tell me, like, yes, you're ready to, like, referee, and I'm okay with you taking these games. And that just made me think about that, we have all of these people, and, I feel like everyone should be, proficient enough to referee. And that's like, I think you're right that it's kind of difficult to do that, and it's kind of time-consuming, but
it's not going to happen until we acknowledge that at some point.
Yeah.
I think NAH should. I don't think it's against. Okay, so you can afford, X amount of dollars for your Polo specific frame and fork, your expensive wheel set, your cranks, down the line. You can travel to X amount of tournaments a year. I don't think it's out of line to think that we can't individually each one throw into a podium account or whatever, $5-10 a year, which might make something like that a little have some more incentive to do it.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. Like I said, before I did this, I was really, really, really into disc golf. I was involved in disc golf clubs and leagues and tournaments. And again, that is a super niche sport, but a super niche sport with my neighbor down the street he works for the PDGA, which is the Professional Disc Golf Association. And the last time I talked to him about it, they have like something like 50,000 or 55,000 active members. And those are people that have a PDGA card and number that they can track to their tournaments.
Yeah.
So that's just the people that are registered. That's not the other, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people that probably have discs that go out and do it. So, and they're probably 30 or so years ahead of where Polo is. But I feel like there's enough similarities where if you look at it close enough, you could pull some things from them that I think would work for bike polo. But that's a big, broad thing.
So that actually reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you listened to the episode where I talked about fencing and stuff.
A little bit.
There's actually a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were because you have like a ranking system, and
Yeah.
it's sort of similar in disc golf. But then people like play down because they suck and they're afraid to get beat, and they don't challenge. I mean, that's part of the reason where that I like about polo, where you can play a tournament where you can probably play a bunch of games against people that are your skill level. You might play a couple games where you're the better team, but then you might play a couple games where you're playing against the top of a tournament, which I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I don't usually think about wins too much when I'm thinking about a tournament. I generally remember every loss, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I think that because there's such a high learning curve, there are good losses.
Oh, I agree.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like I'll take for example the last tournament I was at, which was Halamim, and I played with one of our guys here. He's been playing about a year and a half, Aaron, and then Lefty Abel, who lives in Davis, California, with his wife Jennifer. They're originally from Michigan. So we on Saturday we wound up going like 4-1, and we got beat by the team that wound up getting second, which was a Madison team: Taco Tony, Ben Hunter, and Adrian.
Nice.
And they beat us 4-0. Where I don't know. They were good. They outplayed us, obviously. I think a couple things could have bounced our way to make it a little differently, but whatever, no big deal. But the next day we got beat by the 5th and 4th place teams, which were both 3-2 defeats or losses, and nothing to really hang your head about. So that's what I like about polo, is that you can play everybody, but I do think at some point, and hopefully Sean Ingram and Fixcraft, they get their pro thing off the ground.
Yeah.
But it's not going to eliminate those guys from every other tournament, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
There's just not enough people who play.
Well, what I was gonna like start heading in the direction of is that when you're doing like fencing stuff, they take the refereeing stuff like really seriously, obviously, and so there's a lot of Like,
there's swords involved. They should.
yeah, there's like there's like classes and there's all kinds of stuff that you have to go and do. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like when you talk about the disc golfing stuff, it seems like it's, pretty similar the way the stuff goes. But
Yeah, and the nice thing though too is that when you are at a tournament where everybody has taken that test, the nice thing about disc golf in general is that most of the people actually who go and play a bunch of tournaments, they generally know the rules, and there's not as much just sometimes general bickering. Now, minus the people that just do it anyways and they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when people know the rules and you're in a group of 4 people or sometimes 5 people, and somebody does something, generally speaking, everyone's like, "Yo, that's a warning this time."
yeah,
And then it straightens itself out.
I think it's pretty frustrating, at least probably more so from your perspective, let's say as a ref, when people are just outrageously upset about a certain call, or there's so much argument on the court during maybe a highly contested game or something at the bottom of the bracket where it's ignorance of the rules that's really causing it, and that's unfortunate.
That's where, if you are a ref, you need to absolutely 100% take control of the game.
Yeah.
It helps where this is not a problem for me. I can be very loud.
Well, hang on really quick, because they actually have a perfect example of that. I wasn't even reffing. I was goal judging Court A, day 2, so probably Friday afternoon, at NA's. Zach from Rat King was like our head referee, and I called a goal back because the ball didn't completely cross the line. Okay. And the dude on the other team threw a massive fit, and like, I get it. I'm sorry. These are high intensity games. You should feel some type of way about the game, but like, at the end of the day, when you yell and scream at people like that, and he told me that I should never goal judge ever again. When you say stuff like that, you're pushing people away from doing something that we need. Like, we need more people to referee. We need more people to goal judge. We need people to be comfortable doing those things, and yelling at people and trying to like make them feel like shit because they're making calls. If they understand the rules and have read everything, there's no reason for that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of okay with your idea of either paying dues that lead into people taking classes, or just
educational requirements.
Exactly.
Maybe even if it's just one person on your team.
Yeah.
You can't play in the tournament unless someone is going to be your rule voucher.
And then they're your captain and they speak for your team or something like that, because there's no way that we can keep evolving as a sport if we are doing if we're just being shitty to each other.
Yeah, no, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it at the Heartland qualifier this year in Lex that there were a few games where one person was the spokesperson for the team regarding rules? Was that the case?
Yeah.
I know some refs do that. It just depends, and it depends on the game. Really, the first a couple of you guys came to our Heartland last year, 2014, which that was the first time that any of us had really like Neil and Evan and I took the test, and the good thing is that most people, the game has actually cleaned itself up. I know there are people who would argue that and say, "Oh my God, people still get hurt," and da 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 da. Well, you're riding around bikes, swinging mallets, you're gonna get hurt. It's part of it. But by and large, most games are pretty easy to call. And if you know who's playing, and you know where you're at in the bracket, you know where the intensity should be at. And so when we did the qualifier here, through the course of the tournament, let me preference that by saying that particular tournament, Neil and I and Evan and another guy, we spent way too much time reffing. We just didn't have really the help we should have had, which
that's
kind of on me. I'd gone back to school that semester. I just got married. I was busy, and but I still think we did a good job because we recognized the games that were going to get hot. And what I would do before those games where I thought that there was a good chance where someone was going to throw a crazy shot or a crazy hit, somebody was going to take it the wrong way. The game. Those are the games that spiral out of control. Before the game, I called everybody in and was like, "Hey, here's what we're doing, and if you guys get out of control, we're going to set you out, and if you say something about it, I'm going to kick you out of the game." Which you can do. I wouldn't necessarily do it, at Equinox or, the heat stroke or, it's all discretionary.
Yeah.
But
the Equinox thing is actually an interesting point to bring up because I was kind of frustrated that we didn't have enough refereeing. I don't know if you felt that, but
I felt like some tournaments there aren't refs.
Yeah.
And then, and that's cool. That's fine. That's part of it. I know, but I also, that's also one of those tournaments like Equinox where it's a good sized tournament, but it's not a huge tournament where people are traveling from like forever to get there with expectations. You know what I mean? For like reffing. Whereas I'm going to use one of my tournaments as an example, like Masters, where I have people flying in. It's a one-day tournament. It runs a particular way because we're on top of things. Hold on one second. Bunk! Stop! That was me. Sorry.
Dog troubles?
I woke up one of the bulldogs. So, it all depends on the tournament. But if you have somebody up there pretending to ref and they look like they might be doing the part, then you might as well do it. And that's to anybody who's on the fence about reffing, just do it. It's not really that difficult. And most people now, they don't maybe know the rules, but they know enough of the rules where it's really not that tough. And there's enough games in a general tournament anymore where, go ref on Saturday when there are Swiss rounds. Go ref some of the first, round or two on Sunday. And that way, you give the people the break that are going to probably ref out the more important. Every game's important, but the more important games in the winners bracket and the losers bracket finals.
The ones that people would argue about.
And yeah, exactly. If you know what teams, I would say like in the top 20% of a tournament or whatever, they're probably going to be one of the more competitive teams, and their expectations might be different than some other teams. Which I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's how I feel like some tournaments run, or most tournaments run.
Yeah.
No, man, I think you're pretty much hitting the nail on the head with all your thoughts. I like the idea of I'd love the ref, and I would be one of those people.
Do it like that's part of it. Like I wouldn't ever suggest like reffing pickup, but like we did that before the last year's Heartland, just for like the week before, like 4 games a night, which
gets people used to it.
Well, it gave us a chance to look at it with a little bit of speed behind it because, there was enough of us playing the tournament where we were, how it is before a tournament.
Yeah.
A lot of times I like to try to go a little bit harder, at least a couple games. And we would play some team games so people could get a look at it. Not every game needs to do it. You shouldn't, but, it's not hard. It's just knowing enough of it, and then you have to own your decisions.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely really important. I know when that whole thing happened at NA's, like, I knew that it wasn't a goal, and I was going to stick to that call, no matter how much he yelled at me, no matter how much he said to the referee, and shout out to Zach, because I just looked at him. He was like, "Was it a goal?" And I said no. He didn't ask me again. He didn't, there wasn't any question about it.
Are you sure it wasn't a goal?
Yeah, there wasn't any of that. I was like, it wasn't a goal. I'm your goal judge. I'm not going to bullshit you,
And then at the same time, you're talking about Zach Blackburn, who has been reffing bike polo longer than, I've been playing. A couple of you guys have probably been playing.
Yep.
And he knows what he's doing, and he understands that, we're all humans too. That's another thing. You're not going to see everything. And even when you're goal judging, which if you're marginally paying attention, you're probably a better goal judge than 80% of the people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, you get some of those dudes that can rip one. Kaleb, yourself.
Thank you.
You know what I'm talking about. Like, they go in and out pretty fast. So, you're going to miss one. And that's just part of it.
Yeah, and I think that's just like one of the things
week on pro football games that miss blatant calls.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is that's like one of those things where it's just like with sports, there's always stuff where you're like you'll be walking out of the stadium after you like went to a fucking soccer game or whatever, and you're like, that was bullshit. That was totally a goal, or that was totally first down, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's always moments where you leave professional games like that. So when you walk away from the polo court, sometimes you're gonna be like, that wasn't a post. That was in the goal. And like that's just the way it is.
Sometimes you're gonna get away with one.
Yeah. So that's one of those things that we just are gonna have to get used to, and it's gonna hurt some people because they're gonna want the win really bad, and you're just not gonna get it because of the way that because we don't have like we have Mr. Do. Thank God for that. You can see some beautiful polo games. But
No video replay, though.
No video replay.
No challenges.
No challenge. So until that kind of stuff happens, we're.
There was a game at NA's where I was commentating, and I think it was with Jared, and it was Monster Trucks versus. You only watched like 2 games. It was Zigzags, and
that game,
man.
I believe Emmett was closer to half court than he was mid court, and he took a backhand shot that caught the went past someone's front wheel and caught the corner. And if you look closely, they do a replay of it, but you can see the net flare from the corner, and it's like boop. And Jared and I were like, that was a goal. And then there was no goal call. But again, we are not running professional athletic events.
Yeah.
Like that people like expectations are so crazy. Like that's like one of the very few things that gets me sometimes. And by and large, bike polo has been a super positive thing in my life. But expectations sometimes of like perfection, and it's not attainable. And B, we're just doing this because we all like it and love it. So,
I do.
It's not always going to be perfect.
I do kind of think that, especially when you just lay it out like that we are kind of getting ahead of ourselves with certain things. But yeah, and it's definitely not a bad thing. It definitely means that that we're passionate and we want to see this go somewhere. But like sometimes you just gotta slow down and just like take baby steps.
Like sometimes I'll explain to people like what I've done for like our tournaments here, or like what we've done, or like if you look at like what Slady's Hawkins is.
Wait, Nick. If we're gonna get into that, let's back up just a little bit here. You guys in Indy have been busy. You guys have been busy all year.
Last year too.
That's right, because you had Heartland there last year.
Really.
You guys always seems to be a tournament going on in Indy. Sort of give the rundown of what, starting from, you guys had the Heartland qualifier in 2014. Starting from there, you have. Well, I'll let you tell it. What have you guys been up to?
Okay, so I'll just do a quick. Like I'm 33, and I started polo when I turned 30. So I've been playing almost like 3.5 years. And when I first started, we had like one little court with blue boards on it. There were like 18 inches on the sides and 32 on the ends or something like that. And from there, that first summer that I played, we had permission to build our south court that we have now with the center wall. And so the first tournament I played in was like 4 months in or something like that. It was our state tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So we played that, and then that next spring we held our first Masters tournament. And what we did is we pre-built the registration for that into building the second court. So that would have been I've been playing a year. Basically my 31st birthday and 1 year polo anniversary was Masters. And then we did Trail Fest that summer. And then that fall, we did our Indiana State tournament. And
now, explain what Masters is and how you guys set up your state tournament.
Masters is my take on the Masters disc golf division, essentially, where the first year the tournament it was a combined team age of 90 years or older. And now, the last 2 years, it's been combined team age of 95 years or older, or all three people on the team are 30 years or greater. It's an age protected, kind of protected deal. It's a 1 day tournament. We play 4 rounds of Swiss, and we go into a double elimination. We've done it 3 times. The last 2 years has been Labor Day weekend.
I've heard great things. I was supposed to play in it this year, and my team sort of fell apart.
Yeah, I always.
This year started for me like Thursday night. We do some partying. It's fun.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go.
Coming in from the West Coast, Seattle, Portland, LA. Miguel's been twice from Austin. It's fantastic, and it's nice that so far, like the first 3 years, 16 teams has been perfect. And then that gives the all-day Sunday to do whatever. And then, so that's Masters. And our state tournament is just what it sounds. You have to live in the state for at least half the year. So last year, 2014, your guys' Travis Davies from Crawfordsville and Bloomington, now in beautiful Columbus.
Friend of the show.
He played last year. This year, Kaleb from now Lansing, but West Lafayette. You guys know Kaleb. He played this year because he'd been here for roughly half the year. But it's not a big tournament. This year was like 6 teams. It's a 1 day. This year we did round robin, then double. We were finished like 3.
Well, you're inspiring Columbus because we're like, we need to do our own state tour. We need to do a state tournament for God of God.
Huge goddamn tournament too.
Well, also because you guys do that to pay for your insurance.
Well, the nice thing is that this year we didn't have to pay for insurance.
That's awesome. There you go.
Because we have a statewide insurance policy, and between other tournaments and whatever, we had the money to cover it. The last couple times though, before that, that's what it went to.
Yeah, because we as a club in Columbus, we've been struggling with that because whenever we throw tournaments, we have to rent our space out, usually for both days, if not just one of the days. And then
do Ohio State tournament, especially Cincinnati. It's his second court.
I know, and that's the thing is we want our own like Polo Palace.
Fuck, I'll come down and ref it if I can.
We'd love it.
We want our own like Polo Palace, like like Cleveland. They just
Screw
got
the Palace. We just want the court.
We just got because Cleveland just got the court, and Cincinnati just got another court, and it's just like we're the capital city. Yeah. We don't have anything.
Well, come on. And the great thing about the state tournament is that it's mostly pretty laid back. It's kind of a family thing. This year was so small, like we didn't even cook out at the courts. We just did it. And then after Neil, he does a yearly sours party. I don't know if you guys are into sour beers at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Caleb's not. He's too young.
I'm 12. It's rough.
But, we all went over there and like sat around the fire, drank beer, hung out. It's a more of a family type tournament because anymore like there's just not a ton of teams. So Indianapolis, we kind of have most of the people. There's some people up in Lafayette that play. Zach's in Bloomington, but that's about it.
So really quick, speaking of Neil, I actually just was in Indy to play at Slady Hawkins, and I stayed at his house. Yeah. And his house is awesome.
Yep.
And his movie collection is alphabetized, the whole thing. I would looked at it, I was like, damn, that's fucking awesome. So I just want to say thanks to him for letting me stay at his house. It was awesome. But also your Slady Hawkins tournament is fucking amazing.
Not my tournament.
I know. I'm yours because you're from Indy, but that fucking tournament is amazing.
And Betsy and Amy. They do a top-notch job. They, in my opinion, do a better job at their tournament than I do at Masters. They put on a party. It's 18 teams, shirts. We do shirts for Masters too. They do shirts. Amy is a really great graphic design artist, so the flyer for this year for Masters was just a picture I took on my phone and I just cut and pasted. Like my wife does all the shirt designs though, and like the logo, so she does an awesome job there. But yeah, Slady's has turned into. I think Elias said this on Facebook or something, but like it's. I think it's an important tournament now. It's really good. It's the girls and the ladies all play really hard. I won't speak for any other teams, but this year I played with Autumn.
Out of Sacramento, right?
Yeah, and then Bob was supposed to play with us, but he had some scheduling things. So excuse me. We picked up Chris Evans because
The goose.
there was an injury on his team. So but it was never really spoken about. But we, Chris, Autumn, and I just had a rotation. Like, sometimes you'll see, for whatever reason, sometimes girls are on teams and they just sit in net. Autumn went out and scored a ton of goals, and I didn't know anything. I didn't really know much about her, and she was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
she was a star.
I
Yeah,
remember
she's a
playing
cool
you
lady.
guys. Yeah.
I talked to her actually quite a bit. She's a friend of mine. She's a really cool lady.
Yeah, and she's pretty damn good at bike polo too.
Yep.
Yeah. That game we played against you guys was fun.
I when I go play with people that I've never really met, like I have my own expectations. I don't necessarily have that many other expectations, and we wound up getting it fourth.
Oh, nice.
Which I was super stoked on. Chris Evans played an awesome tournament. Autumn played an awesome tournament. I did the occasional cool thing. And that, the year before the first one, I played with Betsy and Tucker Schwinn, and I think we took we tied for like seventh or something, which we were super stoked on for that. It's a tough tournament. Like, there's a bunch of really good people in it. All the girls are great. And I couldn't be happier that, and to be honest, more proud to have those three doing that tournament. And also, my wife would have been more involved, but she's pregnant, so
She's gonna have a baby.
Baby. But yeah, no,
we have a lot of really strong women in this club.
it's true. It's definitely true. I actually am about to pick up one of your ladies to be on a team with for next season. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I just cannot say enough good things about that tournament though, because like the amount of work that went into it, like all the signs that were hung were hand painted signs.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then also, like last year, Megan and Nick Maglio did a bunch of those signs, and then Megan, all the new ones. She did a ton of new ones this year too. Like, it really is one of the best run tournaments, and one of the most fun tournaments, and just it really is a top notch thing from
and then
start to finish.
just the amount of sponsors, it was insane.
I know.
Like they're like just opening more boxes of shit to give away.
I won that for fourth place. I couldn't believe it.
It was crazy. It was like, oh, here's more stuff.
Well, that's my travel tournament next
It's like,
year.
oh,
I've
you
already
wanna-
put that on the calendar as my travel tournament next year.
Yeah, if you guys, if you can get on a team for us ladies, do it.
Ladies, I am available.
Oh my god.
I have an amazing beard and a really good forehand.
Dirty old man Willis.
Contact the Shuffle Polocast at gmail.com.
I think was the original question about all the tournaments we do.
Yeah.
So the first year we did tournaments was like 3, and the last 2 years have been 4.
Yeah, it's
With the last 2 years being Masters and Slady's both happening, as well as our state tournament. So 3 public tournaments, 1 private, and then last year we did the Heartland qualifier, and then this year we did a squad tournament, which we got rained on Saturday.
how'd that go?
They're easy to run. I mean, if on a tournament organizer side of it, it's simple.
Wait, was I at that?
Yes.
You were there.
Yeah, no, because that's when we had to go to the laundromat because we got dumped on.
Yeah,
It rained like a motherfucker.
it started lightning.
Yeah, it was rough.
We were on the court with you guys, maybe.
I think so. So
Yeah.
actually, really quick, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the squad or do you prefer the 3-on-3?
I think 3 on. I think okay, so that's to me that's like a two-sided question.
Yeah.
Like I think for a fixed craft quote unquote professional event, squad is probably better if you're marketing it towards making the game more than what it is right now, because it looks more like a traditional sporting event.
I think I can agree with that.
Now, I would also say that if you are pushing said game into a sport with obviously we're talking about bike polo, that if you're also presenting it as a mass market thing, then I believe that in a 5-person team, two of the players should be women, and there should always be a woman on the court at all time. If that's what we're pushing, which I believe it is that we are a gender, there's gender is not an issue, sexuality is not an issue, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Then that should be a requirement. But for, I think, qualifiers and NAs, I feel like, and this is probably a little selfish in my own answer, but 3-on-3 is a better format because I feel like there's more talent spread, and you have a more diverse bracket.
I agree with that. Yep.
So you get those, you're going to have so much here that are going to be the best teams. But then you get that middle section where you get those mix-up teams, those weirdo teams.
The wild card. That's where I live.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And I think you get more of a fun tournament and more of a loose tournament and just more unpredictability, which I don't think hurts anything at all.
No, not at all.
It gives people. It also, if you are working hard and you're out playing tournaments and you're looking at, and you're improving, then you use those tournaments as a benchmark. And, for example, last year at Halloween, Jose and our Jose and Indy and Kyle Rowland, who's an Indy guy, we're supposed to play with Ross, one of our other Indy guys. Ross got hurt, broke his shoulder at not polo. So John Lomax jumps in on that team, right?
Lomax.
Jose had only been playing, I don't know, like a year and a half, but it was good. But he had that polo experience where you're on one of those good teams. I think they finished 5th or something out of 28 teams or whatever. That's like a big deal. And I feel like with 3-on-3 format, you can be 2 stud polo players and pick up somebody that's on the come up and give them that experience that will make them want to keep going to play tournaments and play polo. So I like 3v3. As I'm our club rep, and I've talked to Indy, and we're like 3v3. So that's what I would rather see, but I'm not a top of the line slayer. So
no, I agree with you. No, I'm a 3v3 guy myself, and I've seen some Facebook threads and stuff talking about it, and I pretty much agree with the 3v3 side. One of the other things why I agree with it is because of a lot of our courts, a lot of clubs. I mean, to do the squad, if you want to practice it correctly, you need to have those openings at the ends, and there's a lot of people's courts who just don't have that built in or can't afford to get it built in.
One of the peripheral reasons why we had the squad tournament was we took the money from that. We rebuilt our gates because our courts are wooden. They're not like your hockey court or whatever.
Yeah. But even that one, you have to jump over. It's like doing a cyclocross to get in there. But I don't know. I think that's good.
Sorry, Caleb, go ahead.
No,
what about what you were?
I don't know. I was just gonna say that I do I don't know, because I've played in a club bench championship.
That's different though.
Last year. Yeah, but the format's interesting, but I will say that watching the fixed craft pro thing as a 5-man is really interesting, and I don't know if that's because that's something we don't see a lot or something we don't do that often, but it is really cool to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it was great. I feel like they did a really good job. But I don't want to be pessimistic about anything, but this isn't a big game.
Yeah.
There's, it's it's very small in the grand scheme of things. Um, but I think Sean is definitely pushing in the right direction. Um, and I think if he, I've heard rumors that there's going to be another one, or
I would hope
there's
so.
at least interest in trying to do another one. And I hope it happens. And I hope maybe there's some mixing up of teams and or what I don't know. But yeah, I think there's a market for it. I don't think that everything needs to go to it, or NAH events need to go to it though.
Interesting.
I thought NAs, which this year was my first NAs, I thought it was fantastic. I had a blast.
It was really fun.
And again, and then I didn't play necessarily the most traditional way because we came through the wild card, but I had an absolute ball of a time. So I don't know. I don't think I would have had that good of a time on a squad team. And again, I don't think we would have gotten into the last day on a squad team either.
I will say, though, if Sean is going to push anything, I would really love for it to be a box of camo jackets onto my doorstep.
Oh, yes, the camo jackets.
Yes.
We would love to test those out for you, Sean.
For sure.
We could be your testers. I think I would look rather dashing.
Oh, for sure. That
And
beard
you
with
freeze
that
your ass
jacket?
off every day.
Oh, my God.
You need it.
I do get cold. I ride my bike every day. I don't own a car. A nice.
I do. I don't
nice
have a
camo
car
jacket.
either.
Oh, you don't either?
No.
Oh, we can just keep us
Paul
warm.
has a car, so he doesn't need
I
a
just
jacket.
threw it
Paul
out
doesn't
today.
need one.
I lost it. So,
Oh, you
Carlos.
lost your car?
yep, gone.
Oh, we all need jackets. Nick, do you need a jacket?
I mean, I'll take one.
Yeah. All right. That's
Something Nick doesn't need is a
2X.
polo bike. And I know you've been through the gambit of polo
for sure.
bikes, so
I know you
something
want
I
to talk
think
about that.
you should
For
maybe
sure.
mention is let's go through the
history.
evolutionary chart of Nick's bikes.
When I first started, my bike was like, "What is this?" And they're like, "This is bike polo." I'm like, "It's not bike hockey," and they're like, "Nah, it's close." But anyways, they were like, "Just show up. We'll give you bring a helmet. We'll give you a bike." And I was like, "Ah, screw that. Where do I go?" So I went to a local bike shop, and they put together a Trek 800 for me, and played my first game a couple days after buying it. Scored a goal, was hooked, and I was on that until it was the end of October, and I had so I'd been playing so many disc golf tournaments and leagues that the money that I would have spent like on that, I basically already had for a bike. So I'll say my first real bike polo bike, which I still have, and actually I'll get to it in a second, but it's a Grand National built here in Indianapolis by Kyle. Kyle is a BMX guy, so it is it is 110 spaced in the rear, and I have a pretty slick wheel set. That's a cassette hub. It's dual V brake. My wife plays on it, and actually a couple.
Oh, I've seen pictures of that. All right.
A couple Saturdays ago, or like Halloween Saturday, I think during the day, she was out running around doing stuff, and it was like the first Saturday that I had in months that I didn't have polo or family stuff, that I just had like the whole day to just do whatever. And your guys' new episode was on, so I put it on my TV, and I started wrenching on that bike. And the last 2 Sundays, I've been playing a couple pickup games on the Grand National again.
Oh no!
On flat pedals.
Oh my God!
I goals in a game on Saturday or on Sunday, like yesterday. So I've been playing on that, and we still have that bike, and it's for Krista again whenever she wants to get back on it. Sometimes now it's a loaner bike, but it's a fantastic bike. It still rides great. So I was on that for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, and he made me another bike that just didn't work. There was some miscommunications on the second Grand National, and I didn't have that for like less than a week, and that one went back. And the whole promise was at the time is my wife was riding the Trek 800, and you guys know that polo is way more fun on a bike that turns and
Sure.
works and doesn't just throw you off when you look at it. So I was then back on the Grand National, so I needed to do something quick because I had all the parts, the disc wheel, all the stuff. So I ordered a Lightfoot.
Shout out.
I have a medium 26-inch Lightfoot, which that bike was pretty great. I actually feel like I learned how to ride a polo bike better on that bike. Unfortunately, I feel like the cons of that bike is that the bottom bracket is really tall and it's pretty steep on the rear end.
Yeah,
but
those Lightfoot, they have long legs. The Lightfoot.
but I feel, but that's my thought on the 26-inch. I feel like they are really close to absolutely nailing down the geometry on the 700 for whatever reason. I feel like those bikes ride a lot more naturally for polo. Like Kaleb, you're on a 700 Lightfoot,
Dude, and I love that thing. I love it.
You throw it around, it's right there. It's dialed in. Whereas I feel like maybe the 20. I don't know this, but I feel like maybe the 26 geometry is just the same 700 geometry, but it's 135.
And that is kind of like I've ridden a couple of them. I read yours, and I rode a couple other ones, and that is kind of how they feel. They do kind of feel like.
The plus side of that is that if you do get a new bike and you want to do something different, you can do that and put.
You made your polo bike into a rando.
You put drop bars on it in the front rack that you sort of halfway make yourself, and it's pretty awesome.
Make it into a little bar hopper.
Yeah, it's great, man.
I've ridden it. It's pretty fun.
It's arguably probably like my nicest bike too. There's way too much money on that stupid bike.
So if your Lightfoot's a bar hopper now, I wonder.
Oh, Willis, just get it out of your mouth.
To.
We know what you want to.
Andy and I share. We both have a 2015 Rust Belt.
Yeah, that's right.
Picks up the computer to show us the whole thing.
We shouldn't. Never mind.
I'm on a medium.
Me too.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic bike. I don't run the same wheel set that everybody else runs, or a lot of people run with, like running chuckers. I run downhill rims. They're Halo SAS, big, inch wide guys. I'm a big guy, so I run 48s on that bike. They're laced to fixed craft hubs, V2 on the front, a V1 on the back.
Nice.
Wide Industries trial freewheel.
Yeah.
Right now, actually, another bike I fixed when I was listening to your last podcast was I put a new chainring on my Rust Belt. And when I was at Equinox, I was running 3218, but it was a cheapo. And I don't know if I bent it by getting hit or I bent it by being strong, but I broke the chainring, or I bent it, and then I broke my chain. So I went back to 3018, and then I just got a 33. So I don't know if Matty Noodle in Ann Arbor watches this, but thanks, Matt. So I've been playing on a new gear ratio the last 2 weeks. When I changed that out when I was listening to you guys inspired me.
We had that effect.
I've had my fair share of polo bikes, but I still ride all of them. They're really good bikes, and I love my my Rust Belt Marco.
Hashtag Rust Cult.
Rust Cult.
Get the fuck out of here, both of you.
Hashtag Rust Cult.
My guy Aaron, he has a little thing called Alter Touring. He's a car painter, and he's a pretty good painter in general. He painted this one, and I think I'm getting it repainted sometime soon.
That's what I heard. I heard that you were going to get that repainted.
That's exciting.
And not from you. I heard somebody say that.
So yeah, I don't know what we're doing yet, but I'm just going to let him do his thing. So yeah, those are my bikes. I know that to get back to Lightfoot real quick, I know they're releasing some new stuff.
New colors.
Well, hopefully a redesign of the 26. So I think that's. So yeah, I'm hoping, they do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bikes out there right now. That's one of the things that interests me is what people ride. because before I got my first bike, I knew basically after my first game of playing polo that like I was in. I was that first night I was stoked. I was into it. Like I knew disc golf was finished. Like
Done.
I had one more tournament that I already paid for.
Drop the disc. I'm out.
Yeah, I played like one more league. I stopped playing. I went and played a tournament down in Evansville where the first day it got up to like 108 degrees. It was awful.
Oh God.
I went up getting like 7th or something in advanced or something. I played pretty decent, but that was the last one. And I knew it. So,
and then polo steals your life.
But part of that is that I did a ton of research between the blogs at the time, which were 321, Lancaster Polo, my boy Zach's Top Shelf Polo. There was a New York one, and I think there was something off of like Northern Standard or whatever. So prior to getting my first bike, I did a bunch of research. Do I go 700? Do I go 26? Am I looking at strength or ultimately with strength? But yeah, I kind of fell head over heels into the bike culture after that.
Yeah, dude. Well, you look awesome on the new Rust Belt. Paint's
Take a
dope.
little bit of time, man, but I feel like I'm getting better on it.
Yeah,
The Rust Belt adds character.
Yeah. Well, I
It makes you better looking.
polo. Those guys are good friends, and I think Lou and Grant are great guys.
Yeah.
And I always enjoy hanging out with those guys, and
We're hoping to get one or both on.
Yeah, that
That'd
would
be
be
nice.
awesome. I want to talk to Lou or one of them about the bikes.
Have you ever met Grant?
I don't think so.
He's a good guy. You like him a lot.
Yeah, well, Nick, we had a really good conversation today, and I think that there's a lot more that we still have to come. Hopefully we can have you back.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I hope that we can maybe keep you as our resident rules expert. Put that in the...
I don't know if I'm any expert, but if you have anything that you want to talk about, I'd be more than happy to.
You
Yeah,
got
dude.
the passion and the knowledge, so
Well,
you're a
thanks.
great resource.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for taking the
talking
time,
to
Nick.
us.
Appreciate it.
Guys, I had a good time.
If anyone else would like to do a Skype interview or chat or just email us and join the conversation, our email is theshufflepolocast@gmail.com.
And on Twitter, it's at theshuffler614. And on Instagram, it's at theshufflepolocast.
Yeah, and thanks to Jose for sending us an email.
Yeah, thanks, Jose.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And like literally
Everybody send emails.
Yeah, whenever we
We
get
love reading
emails,
them.
I'm always excited.
Yeah,
So.
like to read them. So
And actually, thanks to Nick and everyone actually who decided they wanted to do one of these on that photo that we posted of Kaleb. That was funny.
yeah, just for your information, some things that will be coming up. The Kaleb still has to drop. You got Mr. Nacrelli here. One will be dropping soon. But something to look forward to. We're going to have a Mr. Frank Hauser and a Mr. Hammersley and a Mr. Aaron Hand. I think we have lined up so far.
Nice, guys.
So, and there is a young lady out in Seattle. Her name is Jess. Will be joining us.
Yeah.
So those are just some name dropping, some things you got to look forward to.
Our new bike is awesome.
Oh, is that the Riding in Circles?
Yeah, that's that pink one.
Mm.
It's pretty sexy.
All right.
Well, until next time,
Thanks, guys.
catch you later, guys.
All right.
Catch you
See ya.
later, Bill and
Thanks,
Ted.
Nick.
No problem, guys.